Hey, brothers and sisters. Today is May 7th, 2023. Just wanted to share a few dreams that I had with you guys. Back on May 6th of 2023, I had a dream, and I'm just going to read it. In the dream, I was an undercover agent inside of a large restaurant in America. I saw Chinese men everywhere, and they were sitting down at tables. All of the Americans inside the restaurant were hiding inside from the Chinese men. There were two big rubber circular stickers that were used to rest a big food serving cart on, that were attached to the floor to keep the food cart from rolling away. The Chinese men had removed them. I found them and then placed them back on where they were supposed to be on the floor. The Americans that were hiding in the restaurant were afraid when they saw me do this. I was telling them to stop being so afraid and to take back what was theirs, but they did not want to move from their hiding place. Then suddenly, massive gunfire broke out. All but two Chinese men were left. Then I saw their two heads. I pushed down on their heads from a distance, so that their heads were pushed down under the table. Then I told the afraid hiding Americans that if they would just push their heads down underneath the table, that they would stay down, but they did not believe me. Then I saw their two heads raising back up above the table again. So, I believe that this represents these Chinese men sitting at our tables in an American restaurant, and Americans hiding and being afraid of them. And the two rubber stickers that secured the food cart from rolling away, the Chinese men had removed them. I believe that this has to do with our food and China supplying a lot of our food and America being afraid to do something about that. And then this massive gunfire broke out, and then all but two Chinese men were left. And I saw their two heads, and I pushed down on their heads from a distance. And maybe that just represents America doing something from a distance with China, with our food suppliers. I'm not really certain, but that's what it feels like in my spirit the Lord is saying. And then I pushed down on their heads from a distance so that their heads were pushed down underneath the table. And what do you do at a table? You eat. And then I told the Americans that were afraid that if they would just push their heads down underneath the table where people eat, that they would stay down. But they didn't believe me. So it's like they weren't doing anything about it. They were afraid to. And then I saw their two heads raising back up above the table again. Okay? And then this morning, before I woke up, I was having a dream. And in the dream, I was warning people about Biomax, which of course I knew nothing about. So I looked up Biomax. And there's this company called Biomax, and this is based out of India, I guess. And they make these machines They're called attendance machines for biometric attendance machines, fingerprint attendance machines, face recognition attendance machines, time attendance machines, and punching attendance machines. So I believe that the Lord is saying this company is going to be used in the future for those that have the mark of the beast. I also found this other company, excuse me, called Biomax. And they do neuro imaging. And they do artificial intelligence. They combine machine learning and semantic algorithms to build powerful solutions for life sciences. And I'm going to attach both of these links for both of these Biomax companies below in the description box of this video. So, after I researched all this, I was just talking to the Lord, like, Lord, you just audibly spoke again on a video with my little boy and said, look up. And then my son repeated, look up. So, why am I getting all these other warnings again now, you know? And, you know, they could just be warnings for those that are left behind. That's what I'm feeling in my spirit. But then all of a sudden, he drops this song into my spirit that I haven't heard in a long time. And I'm just going to read the lyrics to you. And it's by a band called FFH. And it's called One of These Days. One of these days, I'm going to fly over the mountain. One of these days, I'm going to ride on the silver lining. One of these days, I'm going to witness all I've been missing. One of these days. One of these days, I'm going to do all the things that I've never done. I'm going to finish all the races that I've run, but I've never won. And I'm going to see a million faces and recognize everyone. One of these days. One of these days, I'm going to see the hand that took the nails for me. One of these days, I'm going to hold the key to the mansion built for me. One of these days, I'm going to walk. One of these days, I'm going to walk the streets of gold that were paved for me. One of these days. One of these days, I'm going to see my Savior face to face. One of these days. One of these days, I'm going to see just what became of me on the day that I believed when you took myself from me. And I believe I will see what I would have been if you didn't save me. One of these days. And one of these days, I'm going to talk with all the saints that have gone before. And in their sandals I will walk, and we will sit along the shore. And I will learn all the things that I never knew before. All this and more. One of these days. I'm going to see the hand that took the nails for me. One of these days, I'm going to hold the key to the mansion built for me. One of these days, I'm going to walk the streets of gold that were paved for me. One of these days, I'm going to see my Savior face to face. One of these days. One of these days, I'll finally be in a place where there's no more need, no more pain, and no more grief, no more foolish disbelief, and all the joy there will be when at last we finally see one of these days. One of these days, I'm going to see the hand that took the nails for me. One of these days, I'm going to hold the key to the mansion built for me. One of these days, I'm going to walk the streets of gold that were paved for me. One of these days, I'm going to see my Jesus face to face. One of these days, one of these days. Look up. Jesus is coming. Love you guys. Hold fast.